I want to talk about something that sounds smart. And honestly, in some cases, it is smart. A lot of buyers right now are saying, I'm just going to wait until rates come down. And I get it. I really do. When the payment feels too high, waiting feels responsible. It feels cautious. It feels like the adult thing to do. But here's the part I want you to think about. Waiting for rates to drop is not always a strategy. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just a way of avoiding a decision that feels uncomfortable. And I don't mean that as criticism. I mean that as something I've seen over and over again in real life. People don't always delay because the numbers tell them to delay. Sometimes they delay because they're afraid of making the wrong move. And that's human. But the market doesn't pause while we're trying to feel more certain. So the real question is not just, will rates come down? The better question is, what happens when they do? Because if rates drop and a lot of buyers come back at the same time, you may get a slightly better rate, but you may also get more competition, fewer seller concessions, higher prices, and less room to negotiate. So did you actually come out ahead? Maybe. Maybe not. That's what we're going to talk through today. Not in a dramatic way, not in a buy now or regret it forever way. I don't like that kind of advice, but in a practical way, because the interest rate matters, but it is not the whole story. Now, I want to start by saying something important. People are not foolish for wanting to wait. If you are a buyer right now and you feel hesitant, that is understandable. The last few years have been a lot. Buyers went from hearing about historically low interest rates to seeing monthly payments that feel much heavier. And if you are a first-time buyer, that can feel discouraging. You may have done everything you were told to do. You saved money, you worked on your credit, you paid down some debt, you started looking at homes online, and then you talked to a lender, saw the payment, and thought, wait, that's what this costs now? That moment can be sobering. And for move-up buyers, it is a different kind of frustration. You may already own a home with a much lower interest rate. Maybe you bought years ago. Maybe you refinanced. And now the home does not really fit your life anymore. Maybe you need another bedroom. Maybe the kids are bigger. Maybe your parents are getting older and you need a different layout. Maybe the commute is starting to wear you down. Maybe you need a home office that is not the corner of the dining room table. But then you look at what the next house would cost, and it feels like you are being penalized for needing your life to change. So you stay, and you tell yourself, we'll move when rates come down. Again, I understand that. Sellers are doing something similar. Some homeowners want to sell, but they are worried buyers will not be able to afford the payment. Other sellers want to move, but they do not want to give up their own lower rate. So they sit still. They keep checking values online. They ask a friend at church. They ask someone at work. They ask Facebook. And after hearing 12 different opinions from people who do not know your mortgage balance, your neighborhood, your repairs, your timeline, or their actual goals, they do nothing. And investors? Investors are watching rates because the cost of money changes the deal. That part is legitimate. If your debt service goes up, your cash flow changes, your return changes, your risk changes. So yes, there are rational reasons people are waiting. But this is where it gets interesting. A lot of people are not waiting with a plan. They are waiting with a feeling. They say, I'm waiting for rates to drop. But if I ask, drop to what? There is often no answer. 5.5? 5? 6? And if rates hit that number, are you ready? Are you pre-approved? Do you know what payment you actually want? Not just what the lender says you can qualify for? Do you know which neighborhoods make sense? Do you understand taxes, insurance, HOA fees, commute patterns, resale, repairs, flood zones? Or are you planning to start getting serious once everyone else starts getting serious too? Because those are two very different positions. Waiting with preparation can be smart. Waiting with no plan is just floating. And floating can feel peaceful until you realize the market has moved without you. Now, on paper, waiting for a lower rate makes sense. I am not going to argue with basic math. If you borrow the same amount of money at a lower interest rate, your principal and interest payment is lower. That is true. And that is why this advice is so appealing. It feels clean. It feels mathematical. It feels safe. You go online, you use a mortgage calculator, you put in the home price, you adjust the rate, and the payment changes. Simple. But real estate is not just a calculator. It is a market. And markets are made of people. That is the part the calculator does not show you. It does not show you what happens when thousands of buyers all respond to the same lower rate at the same time. It does not show you the seller who was willing to negotiate in March but feels very confident in June. It does not show you the builder who was offering incentives last quarter and quietly pulls them back when traffic picks up. It does not show you the first-time buyer who suddenly qualifies again. It does not show you the move-up buyer who finally lists their home. It does not show you the investor who starts making offers again because the numbers improved just enough. The calculator gives you the payment. It does not show you the competition. And that matters. Because a lower rate can improve affordability on paper while making the buying process more competitive in practice. Both can be true. And honestly, that is where a lot of buyers get surprised. They think if rates drop, everything gets easier. Sometimes it does, but not always. Sometimes rates drop and the market gets louder. More showings, more offers, less patience from sellers, less room to negotiate repairs, less closing cost help, more pressure to make a decision quickly. And if you are not prepared before that happens, you are not really benefiting from the lower rate. You are just joining the crowd. That is the piece most people do not think through. The rate is one part of the cost. The competition is another, where the myth breaks down. The myth breaks down because it treats the interest rate like it is the whole decision. It is not. Your actual cost of owning a home includes the purchase price, interest rate, taxes, insurance, HOA fees, maintenance, repairs, closing costs, seller concessions, commute, and how long you are likely to stay. And in Texas, we really have to talk about taxes and insurance because two homes can have the same purchase price and very different monthly payments. One neighborhood may have a higher tax rate. One property may have a mud tax. One home may need a roof soon, which can affect insurance. One area may have different flood considerations. So if you are only watching the interest rate, you may be missing other pieces that have just as much impact on your monthly payment. Let me give you a simple example. Say a buyer is looking around the low to mid $300,000 range. They see a home that fits most of what they need. Not perfect, no home is perfect, but it has the right location, a manageable commute, decent condition, and the seller is open to helping with closing costs. The buyer says, "I'm going to wait until rates come down." Okay, that may sound smart, but while they wait, a few things can happen. That home sells, the next comparable home is priced higher, the seller concessions go away, their rent renews, another buyer comes into the market, or rates drop just enough that demand increases, and now the same type of home has more competition. So the buyer may get a slightly better rate later, but lose the better negotiation. That does not mean buying now is always right. I want to be careful here. If the payment does not work, it does not have to work. If buying would drain your savings, create stress, or put you in a fragile position, waiting may absolutely be the better decision. But if you can afford the payment, you have reserves, you plan to stay in the home, and you are in a market where sellers are still negotiating, then waiting for the perfect rate may not be protecting you. It may be costing you. Not dramatically, not in a way that feels obvious every day, but little by little. Rent paid, Equity missed, terms lost, options narrowed. And that is usually how real estate mistakes happen. Not because someone makes one wild decision. More often, it is because they keep postponing a reasonable decision while waiting for an ideal one.
So that's the theory. But in real life, this myth does not affect every buyer the same way. A first-time buyer, a move-up buyer, a seller, and an investor can all lose money in different ways. And that's what I want to break down next.